2 seeds cracked open in a day. The other 3, 4 days later, still dead silent. You already know what you're thinking. You got some bad seeds. They're probably fine. They just didn't get the same 3 things the first one got. Tonight's a good one because it's the very first thing every grower ever does. And almost nobody explains it right. Getting a seed to pop. The number of people who come into the shop holding a baggie, half the seeds popped, half just sitting there, convinced the bank ripped them off, it's constant. And it's almost never the seeds. Germination feels like pure luck, but it isn't. It's 3 things you can actually control: warmth, moisture, and air. And once you see them, you stop losing seeds you paid good money for. This one's for the grower, starting from seed at home, paper towel in a baggie, a glass of water, or straight into a cup of soil, who's watching a couple of them race ahead while the rest just sit there, and is already reaching for that slow one. It works with a paper towel and a baggie. We're going to teach you what those slow seeds are actually telling you, so you stop panicking and start reading them. It's a ChatGPT-style growbot trained on a huge body of grow knowledge. In the shop, we lean on it every day because it gives clean, structured baseline answers, the kind that surprise you even after years of doing this. I ran tonight's 3 questions through it earlier, so I'm reading you what it actually said, then adding the real-world shop experience on top. MyRemy is free on the website right next to the grow guides. Throw your own questions at it anytime you want. Let me see who's in here tonight. Drop where you're growing from and tell me, starting from seed right now, or are you past that? Anybody got seeds going this week? Put a seed emoji in the chat. Let's see how many of us are in this together. Here's the moment that kicks it off. 2-3 days in, a couple of your seeds have cracked and pushed a clean little tail, white tail, and you feel like a genius. Then you look at the rest of the pack. Nothing. Same towel, same soak, same everything, and they're just sitting there. Day 4, still nothing, and now you're unzipping the baggie every couple hours, poking at them, wondering if the water was wrong or the bank shorted you, because the fast ones racing ahead make the slow ones feel like an emergency. Before I read you what MyRemy said, here's what I want landing first. Those slow seeds sitting right next to the fast ones usually aren't duds. They're telling you something about your setup, not about themselves. Here's the question I put to MyRemy. 2 of my seeds popped fast, and the rest are just sitting there days later. Did I get bad seeds, or did I do something wrong? Here's what it said. Seeds from the same pack can absolutely pop on different timelines. That doesn't mean the slow ones are bad, and it usually doesn't mean the bank shorted you. Every seed is sitting in its own tiny pocket. One's a little warmer, evenly damp, still getting air. Another one, even an inch away, is cooler or wetter or packed in tighter where the air can't move. Those little differences alone can stagger them by days. The biggest controllable culprit is moisture, usually too much of it. Seeds need water to wake up, but they need oxygen just as bad. Soaked and airless, a seed will stall or rot instead of pushing a root. Too dry slows them too, but new growers tend to love them to death with water. So keep them warm, evenly damp, not dripping, and give them time. A few fast starters and a few slow pokes from the same pack is just normal. Seeds aren't microwave popcorn. Bad seeds happen, but it's not your first assumption. Check the environment first. Temperature, moisture, oxygen. 9 times out of 10, that's the real story. Seeds aren't microwave popcorn. That was a good one. Write that down. So here's what all that actually means for you. MyRemy just told you the number one culprit is usually too much water. And I know that feels backwards because water is the thing that's supposed to help. It's also just where the seed is sitting. One's in a warm middle of the towel, one's pressed against a cold edge by the window. Same pack, totally different little world. It's not genetics, it's geography. And the second you slap the bad seed label on the slow ones, you quit fixing the real thing and start blaming a seed. So before you write off a single one, ask the better one. Is the spot I gave it actually warm and steady? And am I drowning it? Get honest about that, and most of your duds come back to life. All right, quick one for the room. If you've got seeds going right now, where are they actually sitting? Fridge top, a drawer, a windowsill, a heat mat? Drop it in the chat. That spot matters more than the brand of seed. So the slow seeds are sitting there and you can't take it anymore. Here's what almost everybody does next. And I did it too when I started. You decide they need help. So you dunk them back in water to wake them up. Or you flood the cup with more water. Or the big one. You see a shell that's stuck and you start picking at it to free that little guy. All of it feels like rescue, like doing nothing is giving up. But here's the hard truth. The move that feels like saving the seed is usually the one that kills it. Let me show you why. Here's the question I ran through MyRemy. My slow seeds aren't cracking, so I want to re-soak them or peel the stuck shells. Seeds are slow. The most common first move is to help by adding more water, re-wetting the towel, keeping the soil wetter. It backfires because seeds need moisture and oxygen, not just water. Keep everything soaked and you push the oxygen out. The seed suffocates and you invite rot, mold, damping off. Wet is not better, okay? Evenly damp, that's the target. The most destructive move is peeling off a stuck shell. That sprout is soft tissue and a shell's often attached to it, to the growing tip. Pull it and you tear the leaves or snap the stem. That seedling may never recover. The right response is patience, plus stable conditions. Lightly moist, warm, airy. Don't re-soak once it's planted. And hold roughly 70 to 80 degrees. And let the seedling push the shell off on its own. If one's really stuck, raise the humidity a little. A dome or a mist nearby so it softens. Then leave it alone. One real exception. Old or hard-shelled seeds can earn a light scuff or a short soak, 12 to 24 hours max, before planting. Past that, and you're not helping, you are drowning it. Bottom line, damp, warm, and patient beats soaked, poked, and panicked. Here's the part that's so hard to swallow. Doing less is the fix, and every instinct you've got says the opposite. A seed is alive and it's breathing. When you drown it in extra water or pack it into soaked soil, you're not feeding it, you're cutting off its air, and that's what actually rots it out. It's the same thing every lifeguard learns first. A panicked swimmer who's thrashing drags you both under. The save is staying calm and picking your moment, not lunging in. Same with a slow seed. Pile on more water to rescue it, and you drown the one thing you were trying to save. That shell comes off on its own when the humidity is right. When you pick at it, you tear the baby plant inside and you ruin as many seeds as you save. The only time helping is actually right is an old, hard-shelled seed that needs a little scuff or a short soak to let water in. And even then, it's gentle. For everything else, hands off is the fix. Doing nothing is not quitting. Sometimes it's the most skilled thing you do all week. So that leaves the real question, the one everybody actually wants answered. How do you tell if a seed is genuinely dead or just running behind? Because they look exactly the same sitting there. Guess dead and you toss a good seed. Guess slow and you may be babysitting a rotten one for 2 weeks. There's a clean way to call this, and it comes down to a clock and 1 or 2 things you can check with your own eyes. Let's get the order right. Here's what I asked MyRemy. How do I tell if a seed is actually dead or just slow? What should I check before I touch it at all? First, read the clock. At the right temperature, a healthy seed usually cracks and shows a taproot in about 1 to 3 days. Day 7 is the real "something's probably wrong" line. Before that, don't panic and don't poke at it every 5 minutes. Second, check temperature stability. A delayed seed is often just cold or riding a temperature roller coaster. Seeds want steady, warm, not hot, not chilly, not up and down. Third, check moisture versus oxygen. The goal is moist, not soaked. Water wakes the seed up, but it still needs air. Waterlogged, and it drowns before it ever even gets going. Signs it actually is rotted. Cloudy, funky soak water. A brown or mushy taproot. Mold. Or a sprout that comes up and collapses. Signs that it's just slow. No smell, no mush, no mold, just no crack yet, especially if it's been cold. Or the seed's older with a harder shell. Factor in seed age. Older seeds and tough shells take longer to soak up moisture. Slow doesn't mean dead. Stabilize and wait. The fix isn't more water or more heat, it's steady. Consistent warmth, even moisture, access to air. Warm, damp, breathable, left alone. So the order: read the clock, check the temperature, check moisture versus oxygen, factor in seed age, then stabilize and wait. Before day 7, just assume it's behind unless you see real rot. After that, steady conditions and still nothing, then it's fair to call that seed suspect. Here's the one thing that ties the whole order together. Steady beats strong every time. Okay? Not the warmest spot, not the wettest towel, the most stable one. A seed cooking on a heat mat with no thermostat is getting roasted at noon and chilled at midnight. And that swing wrecks germination just as bad as plain cold. Same with water. Damp and consistent beats soaked. Your only real job: start the clock, hold it steady, and check for the rot tells before you panic. One thing, held steady, beats 5 frantic corrections. A seed doesn't need you hovering, it needs you to set the table and step back. All right, I want to show you this, not just talk about it. So I'm starting a real germination test right now, live, and we'll check results in a follow-up. Quick thing before we start, because you know we keep it straight here. Root Nerds is the sponsor of this segment. They sent the kit over and they're backing the test. But the deal I made with them and with you is simple. Real test, real seeds, real results, however they come out. If it flops, you'll hear about it, and that's the only way a gear test means anything. So remember the whole lesson tonight. Warmth, moisture, air, held steady. Root Nerds sent over 2 ways to get there, and they're not competing. They're for 2 different growers. First, the sprout, okay, with 1 self-contained pod. Plug it in and you're done. That's for when you're popping a few seeds that actually matter to you and you want the warmth handled. No babysitting a windowsill. Second is the FlexiGerm. Okay, this is a 6-pod tray for when you're starting a whole batch. No heater in this one. It sits on a regular seedling heat mat, which half of you already own. One's for when every seed is precious and you want it handled for you. The other's when you're starting a garden's worth and you've already got a mat. Same 3 conditions either way. And for the test, I'm using garden seeds, cucumber, beans, and radish. The germination rules are identical. A seed's a seed when it comes to warmth, moisture, and air. So let me build the little one first, because it teaches the whole move, okay? Bottom, cotton on bottom, seeds on the pad, and watch the amount. Okay, this one's got the radish. 5 mils of water on that pad. Damp, not soaked. Soaked drowns it. That's the whole move tonight. Top pad over the seeds. 5 more milliliters of water. Lid on. Plug it in. The pack auto sets itself to the right temperature, about 78 degrees. And that's it. It's done. Now, the exact same thing, just 6 pods for a bigger job. So, we've already got 3 loaded. First one's going to get the cucumber. Second one is going to get some garden beans. And the third pack will get the lovely radishes. The little guys, because we want to see them race. All right, this is going to be the same sandwich. Pad, seeds, 5 milliliters, 5 milliliters on top. All right, good, boom. I'll take care of the rest off camera after the show, but you get the idea. Now, put the lid on, magnetic, and this one goes on the heat mat, set to about 78, 80 degrees. Steady bottom heat, not a windowsill roller coaster. The lid traps the humidity, so I'm not re-wetting anything every few hours. So we'll start the clock. Both are gonna stay on all night. We'll check these in roughly 48 hours, every pod on camera. Here's the part that ties the whole night together. I'm not going to touch them. No peeking every hour, no re-soaking, no fussing. We set the table and we step back. That's the test. Now, if you want to run the same setup at home, Root Nerds has set up the code MyRemy 10. That's MyRemy, the number 10 for 10% off. Use it at checkout on their website, therootnerds.com. But honestly, watch the results with me first, then decide if it earned it. We'll come back in a follow-up next week and see exactly how these did. Every seed, no editing, fair's fair. Let's bring it home. We started with those 2 fast seeds and the 3 slow ones. And that sinking feeling, you are wasting your money. And the whole lesson tonight is this. The seed almost never failed you. The setup around it wasn't steady. Warmth, moisture, air. Get those 3 holding still, and most seeds do exactly what they were built to do. So before you reach for that slow seed, a slow seed isn't a dead seed. It's usually a cold seed. Seeds breathe, so when you drown them in help, you suffocate them. And most seeds that die don't die from neglect. They die from rescue. Most seeds die from rescue, not neglect. The strongest thing you can do for a seed is set it up right and leave it alone. Start the clock, hold it steady, check for rot before you panic, and keep your hands out of the baggie. Don't blame the seed for what the room did to it. I appreciate everybody who hung out tonight. Some familiar faces, some new ones just getting started. If you're catching the replay, tell me your germination horror story in the comments. The seeds that never popped, the ones you peeled and killed, the moldy paper towel, we've all got them. Tell me what you do differently now, and if you've got a grow situation worth breaking down, something that's been driving you nuts, drop it in the comments. We pull real ones into future episodes and break them down live. If you've got photos also that relate to this lesson, send them in. We might we make a grid posting out of them. We built Green Zone around exactly this. Education first, no pressure, real answers for real growers, trying to figure out what their plants are telling them, right from the very first seed. MyRemy's free on the website if you want a clean baseline answer before you start moving things around. Use it, it's there for you. If you're local, Worcester, or anywhere in New England, and you want to talk through your grow face-to-face, come see us at Green Zone Grow Shops, Worcester, Massachusetts. Doors always open. Real growers, real talk, no fluff. Good night, everyone.